Well, hell to all. We are live and just for shits and giggles. And yep, it's crazy days out there. So, yeah, let's take a look here. I was driving around earlier today and I was showing Wes how empty the streets look. This was 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I was showing this to Wes earlier. You see
Yeah, it
that?
looks pretty damn empty.
Man, there should be like 5 or 6 cars in front of me and about 3 or 4 behind me. And that's empty. There's under the bridge there. That's I-5. Maybe I'm going backwards.
The
All
bridge is
right.
I-5 or the road is I-5?
That bridge right there, that's I-5 crossing.
Oh, wow, it looks pretty small for I-5. Oh, okay, there you go. That looks like
Yeah.
I-5.
Yeah. I-5 north southbound.
Yep. Yeah, it runs through here too.
All right. This picture's on the other side of I-5. And this is east going east right here, technically. And man, normally there would be traffic, right in here because to the left there's Taco Bell, there's a movie theater that's got an empty parking lot. There's a grocery store because you see the light right there, you see the building right there. That's all you can eat restaurant, and then just right before that, there's a little Taco Bell right there, and there's a grocery store right back there, and it's like yeah, it's nothing. So yeah, and when I was out and about, I don't know if this happened for you, Wes, but when I was out, man, people were acting really stressed out. You could cut a donut out of the air. It was just in the air. So how's things been for you over where you're at?
People seem to be, well, it's a combination of things. People are either very nice, very polite, or I was getting kind of, one person told me that I was taking the social distancing too seriously.
Yeah,
And because I have neoprene gloves that one of my clients gave me, and I was wearing them, and and like I'll tell people, I'm not shy about it or anything. I'm just like, back 6 feet, and so I'll get a weird reaction like that. But most people, it's surreal, it's weird. I think that people are taking the social distancing more seriously now that more information is coming out about what's happening to people.
yeah, I would
It,
say.
yeah, it's okay. You've seen that movie Contagion, right?
Yeah,
Well, there's a line that Lawrence Fishburne says. He says, "Nobody should know about it until everybody knows about it," and you're seeing that play out right now. Meaning, nobody should know. I mean, like even how the reports were creeping out, and it was
right.
portrayed on the news and the movie. But dude, it's playing out exactly the same way. The skeptics, all that stuff. It's just it's that is really surreal. That's like, wow, that's exactly what's happening right now.
All right.
The horny teenagers not wanting to stay locked up. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's just like it's so weird. It's literally exactly what happened in the goddamn movie.
yeah. It's there's a huge surreal feeling for sure going on out there. I received in the mail today President Trump's coronavirus guidelines for America. Came in the mail.
Yep.
A little miniature version of what they show, the big one they show on their press conferences and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the one Mike Pence is always toting around, right?
Yeah, yeah. The thing as big as a regular size, huge picture frame. What is that? A 12 by something or 11 by something? 11
I
by 5, 11 by 5 photograph. It's a placard about
yeah,
11 by 5. It looks.
wow. Yeah, I haven't got it. I also haven't checked my PO box though, so maybe I should. I always have a little game with myself when I check the PO box is like bill or check. Oh, bill. It's always
Yeah,
a bill. Just a spoiler alert there, folks.
yeah, yeah. It's always a bill.
Yeah, trying to trim my expenses as much as possible. I already have pretty damn low expenses, but I put a lot of stuff on hold. I mean, I have to. I can't do business.
Yeah, this is pretty much screwing everybody up. There's
Yeah,
there's been a lot of questions, a lot of questions, and unfortunately, we really can't talk about those questions. And people are just wondering when's the thing we can really talk about is when will it go back to normal?
I don't think it'll ever go back to normal. I mean, I kind of feel like, honestly, after 9/11 happened, it never felt normal really until we got Trump. I mean, for me, I thought once Trump got into office, it felt things started to feel a lot more normal than they did before. Like, I think the government was doing some really bad stuff that he kind of, put a stop to a lot of it. He doesn't seem to be a power hungry guy from what I can gather, as where the two guys before him were pretty damn power hungry. I thought. I mean,
Well,
Clinton did some shady stuff too, but Clinton, once he became president, it seemed like he was better than he was, when he was governor of Arkansas. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's probably still some mysterious circumstances with things when he was president.
technically, he did the economy really good.
Hmm.
That's the one thing I remember about him. Did the economy good, and basically a lot of people were what they cared about was basically the economy, and that's the one thing that most people care. That's the thing that's in the middle that most people care about most. And there's a saying, it's the economy, stupid,
Yep.
and there's a reason why it's a saying, because when the economy's good, people are working, people are doing jobs and stuff like that. Um, Buildings are being built and stuff like that, you know. And here it is, almost 2 in the morning, and we're live on YouTube, and it's working. It is working because I've been checking it.
YouTube.
It Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, it is granted it's pretty damn early in the morning, but
Um, we have three watching, so we have someone
oh, four watching
that's
now.
that's oh, four watching. We have lurkers.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, there's I don't know, just despite I'm gonna be the voice of hope, I guess you could say. Um, when I was going out and about, and basically people were stopping, saying, "You go in front of me, and you go." And when I got this look in my eyes that says, "Man, you need to move." And apparently, I had to use that look to get people to move out of my way. And it's like, you can go. You're blocking my path. You go first, then I'll go. That's the look I gave them, and they of course they politely went. But the craziness, the energy, just nuts. These people are freaking scared out of their freaking gourds, man. And you could almost smell it. You can smell the fear reeking in Walmart when I went to pick up, those little Hormel microwave mac and cheese,
Yeah.
the kind that you put a little bit of water in the microwave it. those kind. The kind that you don't have to refrigerate, which freaking awesome, you know. My kids love it, you know, mac and cheese and stuff like that. It's real easy. You don't have to refrigerate it. I got 12 of those because you know they're it's not it's basically a portion. If you were to put a portion with your broccoli and in your baked potato and whatever piece of chicken, you know that it would balance out a meal, you know.
Hmm.
And because you know, I get to a certain age, you know, when you have a hamburger, I sometimes I skip the fries and I just have a bowl of veggies with my hamburger a lot of the times, you know. It's just healthier.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had some chicken wings today with some veggies. They tried to give me some fries with it, and I was like, "No, I don't want the fries." You know what I have observed actually now that we're talking about the surrealness, the
Yes,
the homeless people, they don't have anybody to give them change now, and the look on their faces is just like
they're
more
freaking
dis
out, man.
more despair than I mean, being homeless sucks, but the look on their faces is just like they're just wandering around.
Yeah, they're the homeless that I don't know if you know this, man, but Washington State, Oregon, um and I'm sure California too, but I can definitely speak for Washington State that there's definitely a huge homeless problem in Western Washington. I've worked in a homeless shelter a while back, and um, basically I worked and I worked 1 day a week. I worked a 12-hour shift. I worked the night shift, you know, 1 day out of the week. And let me tell you, when it gets cold around here, when it gets wet and cold in the winter, it can get almost freezing sometimes. And so I've had to I've had to so one of the rules for this homeless shelter was that people had to call ahead of time, and they had to have been had their name early on the list, and I had to verify on their ID that they were who they were on the list. Otherwise, I couldn't let them in because there was children staying there in this homeless shelter because they had little tiny apartments, little dormitories, and sometimes there was two families per room. There was probably one, two, three, four bunk beds in one room that had a little tiny kitchenette inside it, and and so there was kids there, and the people that were coming there, they had to have come there ahead of time, and and so basically the organization that I worked for, I would get a phone call from them, and they would tell me so and so's coming because they called the hotline, and I'd write their name down in the log, and then they say they're on their way, they have their ID. It'd be one of those emergency kind of things if it was late at night after hours, and they come in, and I'd get them a mat and blankets and stuff like that, and I'd have to check their ID. Otherwise, if they didn't have their ID, I would not be able to let them in. And driving around, I drove through downtown. I was on the phone with Tommy, and I was telling him about everything that I was seeing that was going on when the first when the soft shelter in place was ordered in a lot of the other states, and it was suggested to shelter in place here in Washington State first before they made it a mandatory, a soft mandatory. They're still not making known they're not giving tickets and stuff like that. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it hasn't happened up here yet either, but I do see a lot more cops than I did before.
And so, you know, the folks that are homeless around here, man, they're probably freaking out, man.
Well,
But you
yeah,
know
there's
what? There's that hope thing. I can't help. There's some hope coming from somewhere. I feel it. I can't really talk about where it's coming from, but I feel it. I know there's hope. So anybody that's out there that's listening, keep hope.
oh,
Keep
absolutely there
calm.
is. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, tough stuff like this. brings out the best in people. I mean, it brings out the worst in people too, but
Yeah.
for sure it brings out the best in people. And I've been seeing a lot of the best in people. Um, yeah, just you gotta build up your networks. Like we're doing of good folks, and just be surround yourself with good people, and just pull together. I mean, you know, although it might be tempting to like hoard weapons and kind of go it alone. I don't think in the long run that's gonna be a good way to go if things get to be chaotic and bad.
Well, I always got a backup plan. You know what I'm saying? I know where I gotta go. If things go a little sideways.
Yeah, yeah, I've got a couple of again through my network, I've got some places I can go if things get really really bad. Few
And
places.
weapons wise, that's not hard to get.
Yeah, yeah, we've
It's not a hard thing to get, especially if you have friends that are gun owners. I'm
oh
not worried
yeah,
about that.
they rarely own one firearm.
Um,
I've
safes full of weapons. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, yeah. My yeah, I've got
Legally owned ones.
yes. Yeah, my yeah, I've got some relatives that have a pretty stocked gun safe with lots of ammunition, so provided that's ever necessary, it's certainly available.
Right. So yeah. So a lot of weird things have been trending on Twitter lately.
Yes, indeed. Um, right now the trends are a little weird at this very moment.
Yes, they are. And what was it like 3 days ago? The Kennedy grandchildren were singing a song on Twitter. I think it was
Yes,
a YouTube video. It was spread around too, but I found a very catchy tune.
it is. Yes.
Yeah, and they can sing too. Some of them can sing, and one of them, man, my God, looks a lot like Jackie. Blew me away. I was like, wow. Felt like I was looking at Jackie. Spitting image.
Yeah, it really did. The eyes especially.
Yes. Yeah, and man, the first time I saw it, man, it broke my heart, man. It really did. But it was joyful at the same time, so it was amazing.
Yeah, well, I have to get the lyrics to that song. What's the name of that song? It's Going Down. Is that it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even sure who the singer of it originally was. And what's funny is Bob Dylan, he just came out with a new song. The song is called Murder Most Foul. Rolling Stone did an article about it. Is the Bob Dylan song we need right now. With its message turning music to comfort in troubled times, Dylan's first new song since 2012 arrives right on time. I mean, this was literally just like the other day, trying to find the release date. I mean, this is like, I'm trying to find the date of this article. March 27th, the article. So it was yesterday.
Timber
And
Pitbull featuring Keisha. Wasn't Keisha one of those people that said that there was that she had been abused in some way and was trying to blow the whistle on the music industry?
I don't know. Don't know.
I think they
Very
tried to.
possible.
I think they tried to shut her up. I think that was
Yeah,
the end of
let's let,
her music career. Keisha,
yeah.
let me look it up here. I'm doing the Wicca right now.
Where'd it go? The drunk.
Lawsuit and let's see. sued producer Dr. Luke for sexual assault and battery, sexual
Whew.
harassment, emotional abuse, and violation of business practices that occurred for 10 years of working together.
Okay, the official song on YouTube was released March 26th. It's funny. There's some odd things about that day. We'll just put it that way. Yeah. Whoa, Lurch Troll just uploaded a video. Hail, Lurch Troll.
Hail. I heard people are having trouble with uploads.
Yeah, apparently he is too because the video's not available. It's saying removed by user.
Timber Vacation.
Oh, he must be having problems.
Came out October 6, 2013.
Well, so apparently there's been basically most reported problems is watching videos 72% is the report, website 21%, and uploading videos 25% with problems. And apparently there's a certain level and the problems is way above the level.
Yeah, it really looked like it.
And there's a live outage map.
Yeah, I don't know how it can geographically be down in certain areas. That seems a little strange.
Dude. All right. I got a live outage map. And it's the outage and problem areas.
What is it? Where is it showing?
San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, New York.
The places where the beer bug is?
Yeah, exactly. That's not suspicious at all. Not at all. And so, yeah, a lot of problems connectivity with in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York is a big yellow spot, as you can see. And the yellow areas are the technical issues.
It's interesting because I don't see New Orleans on there, and New Orleans is having a problem with the beer bug at the moment.
And this is basically a down detector for YouTube. It's downdetector.com and tells you the areas are having problems with.
Those would all appear to be, yeah, it's very interesting. That's very interesting.
And I'm way south of Seattle. Seattle is basically about a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah, I think that's about how far San Francisco is for me.
And if I had to drive every back road to Seattle, I would know how to do that. Know a lot of the back roads.
Yeah, it always pays to know the back roads. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I used to work in a warehouse over there across the river from Sumner, and it was a really weird way of getting into there. And if you try coming in from the little local highway, it was a pain. So basically, what I would do is I would come across all the back roads, the county roads in northern Pierce County, and I'd cut across, and basically I would hit just a little south of Maple Valley, and then head into Sumner, and then cross the river over the bridge, and then hit the warehouse district right there. Trust me, it was a lot better traffic wise.
I bet. Yeah, I can't stand being on those highways with all the people.
Yeah. So you look at San Francisco, man. It's a fucking yellow blob right there, man.
Yeah.
And so apparently there's nobody home at YouTube. And I got a warning in StreamYard that a lot of connectivity issues because everybody's streaming. And I'm assuming the only reason why we're able to do a halfway decent broadcast is because it's late and people have chilled off and gone to sleep and stuff. Those that can sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But, going out and about, man, you can cut that tension, cut a donut out of it, and freaking eat it. It's so damn thick. Not that you would want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I just I don't see how they can contain it. I mean, even if, even if the cases start to drop in New York, I believe I was listening to Unrealistic. I don't know if you've heard of his channel
Neo unrealistic.
or Neo Unreality. I'm sorry, that's what it is, Neo Unreality. But he was talking about how the pandemics of the 1918 flu, the first there it came in waves, and the first wave was bad, but not as bad as the second wave. The second wave was the one that wiped out a lot of people, and then there was a third wave, and the third wave was not as bad as the second wave, but worse than the first wave. And
So it's
so,
like every 100 years or so, something happens.
well, I mean,
Connecting
this happened
connecting dots.
all between 1918 and 1919, the three waves.
2020,
Yeah, well,
1918.
yeah,
Go
it is
100 go
about
100 years back, 1818. Wasn't that the bubonic plague?
what did they have in 1818? I don't know. I think the bubonic plague was further back. But yeah, I
But
mean, so even if the cases start to go down in New York, which is probably going to take a really long time, somebody's going to get out of there that has it. And so, I mean, flattening the curve, that's the best they can do. I don't know. It's pretty serious, and it's just like we're talking about with the movie Contagion. It's basically playing out exactly as it did in the movie Contagion. So it's I don't know. Well, I don't. Let's. I don't. Since we're up and we're
so
talking about
so
spooky stuff.
apparently 200 years ago today, the Morning Post shared a report about a health crisis gripping London and how that public health solutions offered a way out of the mess. Report from the Selected Committee on Contagious Fever in London. So apparently there was a epidemic in 1818 in London. Wow. I just randomly found this in a search from 1818. In the year 1803. So apparently there's a history of basically sicknesses coming around.
Yep.
I heard someone else talking about that on a YouTube channel, talking about um, the history of epidemics and stuff like that. I'm not seeing a name of what they're calling it.
So I want to play again at least the first part of that video from Joe Rogan experience for our audience here because I found it interesting. I found it interesting the way it's titled and the topics that they talk about in the first part of the video. Yeah, so let me cue that up. And again, it probably shouldn't be alarming people. I mean, panic is the worst thing that you can do in any situation. But you need to know what the gravity of the situation is, I think.
Right.
20 million cell phone users are missing from China.
Where does
Now-
that stat come from?
This is
Is that an American
hold
stat?
on. This is what they don't know. They don't know if this means there's 20 million casualties, because it also coincides with their switch to 5G. They switched from 5G in January. So from January to March, China lost 20 million cell phone users. Now, what does that mean, though? It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But I think you could safely say whatever they say the casualty number is,
Yeah.
is bullshit.
Exactly.
That's pretty safe because they've been bullshitting left and right about the whole thing.
That
You know,
just-
they go on Twitter. There's some branch of the government that's involved in propaganda that's trying to say this is the United States government creation.
Yeah, of course. The Chinese are
crazy.
incredibly practical. The
All right,
Chinese,
take
you
it
know, a
down.
lot of people, and I'm speaking.
So yeah, that was the part.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you notice what the title of it was. It was nothing to do with that topic.
Yeah, it's in the that's in the private chat, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Just opened it. That's an interesting title.
It is.
That's very interesting.
Oh, you know what else I've been hearing? Even before it started being, I started hearing it on the news when Adega was talking about vitamin D and vitamin C. Now the news is starting to talk about vitamin D and vitamin C.
That's
something-
funny.
Yep.
Well, apparently, if you have high blood pressure, it is not recommended for you to take a lot of B12.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom was taking B12 and her doctor told her to cut it out, stop taking it. And so I take B12 once every other day because what I like about B12 is because it turns your food, it helps turn your food into energy, the stuff that you eat.
Yeah, it mixes
Efficiently.
with the B6 and
Yeah.
Yep.
And so when I went to Walmart, there was not a single thing of vitamin C. And I know how these guys stock shelves and stuff. I used to stock grocery shelves, and I know they put stuff above. And so I started looking above and grabbed a 3-pack, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a vitamin C. They hadn't put it out yet. And so I broke it open and I grabbed one. And then I put that on the shelf so someone would see it. Because there's 1,000 milligram vitamin C.
Mhm.
And so I picked that up, and I got, of all places, I think I got B12 from dollar store or something like that. And so I either take half of one a day, or I just take one every other day. And really, all you would really have to do is take one every 3 days. B12. They have the mineral just in your system. But basically, if you take too much B12, what it does is it makes your blood pressure go up because it turns your food into energy. And it does it so efficiently that it freaking makes your blood pressure go up. So yeah. And oh, by the way, I'm having a beer and cheers. And anyone else out there should have a beer and say cheers and as well. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, cheers. For sure.
And basically, stop watching slanted news. Even Fox News, to a degree, is kind of scaring people, but their policy is facts, not fear. And but it's hard to do a 24 cycle news, when stuff like this is going on and all that. And really, the news really is not telling anybody anything. They're not saying anything. They're not saying what's going on. They're not putting any really hard facts out there. and all they're doing is scaring people. And actually, a long time ago, I stopped watching the news.
Yeah, me too.
And there's OA AON News. I watch them. Um, there's another one, California Times News or something like that. News YouTube channel. They provide news. They have press credentials, and I check them out now and then when I check out news. But otherwise, I really don't watch a lot of news. But because of everything that's been going on, I've been watching news. I've been watching what the White House has been saying when they have their press conferences, because I like to know these things.
Yeah.
And normally, otherwise, I could care less about news. But it's that giant pink elephant that's in the room, basically, that everybody can obviously see. And so going out and about, man, I really can't wait for the next sunshiny day, because you know what? Pretty much the only safe thing to do and not going around people is going for a drive.
Yeah.
You're not hurting nobody. You're going for a drive. You got the window open a little bit. You're not around no one. Let people go for a drive. But you got this slanted, these news agencies just saying this and saying that, and only thing they can do is say bad this and bad that, Orange Man, bad that. Enough. Tired of it.
Yeah.
Tired.
Hillary Clinton.
Tired.
Hillary Clinton just weighed in on Twitter.
Really?
Yep.
Man, I need to know what Hillary Clinton's saying as much as I need to have a pink bridge in New York. But I'll probably check it out later, because look at the sun.
Yeah.
Look, there's the sun. Look at it. Don't look at the sun. But you get my point.
Yep.
I'm telling you, man. Beer tastes good, you gotta say. I'm not just having any beer. It's an Imperial IPA. I have that Irish and Scottish ancestry that really appreciates a good ale. Gotta say.
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell! I got a little bit of English ancestry there too. But so yeah, you got any Scottish and Irish ancestry going on there?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Clan MacDonald. I was second generation born on my dad's side out of Scotland.
I'm not sure where it fits in, but it's definitely there.
Yep. I've got pictures. I got a picture of my great grandfather in his Gordon Highland Brigade.
So yeah, there's the Hillary Clinton tweet. Please do not take medical advice from a man who looked directly at a solar eclipse. Speaking of looking at the sun. And there's what somebody replied with.
Didn't I say I don't believe in coincidences?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Maybe she was having her withdrawals from her, youth serum. Bad Batch or whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how Final's doing, because he's in LA, and LA is freaking locked down, man. I've seen some drone videos of LA. I've seen drone videos of basically was it Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some drone videos of somewhere else they showed. Freaking empty, man. Well, I showed you pictures. There are no cars in the streets at 7 o'clock, man. Things should be hustling and bustling around, but not. Nope. craziness, man.
Yep.
And you seen that map, man. Apparently, United Kingdom's having their share of problems. London is a giant orange spot on the outage map. But apparently, if you're in Scotland, you got good signal. There's no outages in Scotland. Just a little bit of orange in Glasgow,
Uh-huh.
and a little bit of orange in Aberdeen. Whew. Japan's a giant orange spot instead of yellow.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to show that. Look at that. They are
Wow.
hugely having a huge, serious problem in YouTube.
Yeah. Where's that? Like at Okinawa?
That's the main island.
Oh, that is main
That's
island.
Osaka.
Okay.
That's Tokyo.
Wow. God damn.
And of course, you're not going to see shit in North Korea, I guess.
Nope.
And I heard that North Korea has been asking for help through back channels. I found that earlier. They've been asking for help. Yeah, a little tiny orange, yellowish spot right there in South Korea near the border. So yeah, little outages all over the place. But man, see the East Coast, the West Coast there, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, earlier I might have been watching some news. But yeah, pretty much it's all just pretty much the pink elephant in the room, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been absolutely no problems broadcast-wise.
Well, the view counts for me are down quite a bit.
And I really haven't shared this out too much. We had 4 people hanging out.
Yeah, we did. It's been going up to 4 and down here
Yeah.
and there.
And they haven't said nothing. I got a feeling it wasn't anybody that's in our usual channels, you know what I'm saying?
Probably not. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You can usually look at the part. Well, if it's somebody that's subbed, you'll see participation. Participants, just see you.
Let's see, participants. Yeah, just me. And there's been 4 watching, but if they don't put nothing in the chat, they won't pop in the participants, basically.
Yeah.
Let me see, refresh the page. What do we get?
Yeah, I'm reading some of these reports out of New York about what's happening there, and it's a little disturbing.
Well, basically, if it is to be considered believable, RT basically, did I read correctly? 1 million soldiers activated?
Up to 1 million.
Up to?
Yeah, it was Reuters. It's in the private chat.
Yeah, and it was also in Reuters, too. And that was National Guardsmen that was activated, right?
Yes.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Basically, and Joe Rogan was also talking about it. Like all our manufacturing has been sent out of country.
Mhm.
I think all of that's going to come home. It has to eventually, you know. A country that's not making a product isn't really a country at all. You know what I'm saying? You got to make product.
Yep.
Um, Basically, this country is great at innovating ideas and stuff like that. And apparently, China has developed factory processing of technology in the way they do things. Basically, and we're just going to have to learn how those factories work and stuff like that in their processing. You know,
Well, I think probably the dirty little secret there is, basically no labor laws, no safety laws, no real environmental regulations.
a lot of
So,
robotics. There's a lot of robotics used too.
yeah, there's a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
Well, if you can do robots in China, you can do robots here.
Well, yeah, the American car manufacturers had to adapt. They use partial robotics and stuff like that for manufacturing cars.
Or here's an idea: if you want cheap labor, go down to Mexico and build factories there.
There's a lot of Ford has got a factory there. There's a couple others that produce cars down there. I think Volkswagen's got a car production plant down there too. Up until a few years ago, the 1979 Beetle was still being produced in Mexico
Yeah,
and in Brazil as well, I think.
yeah. I heard they were pretty upset when they stopped making them and they went to the new ones.
Oh man, oh my God, they were so upset because my aunt Carmen, she had one of those 1979 Beetles, and I believe it was made in same body style. It was made in like 86, maybe 87.
Yep.
I have my grandfather's sister that lives in Mexico City, and when I was 11, my grandmother and grandfather took me down there. I got to go to a bunch of different places. Got to go to Cuernavaca, spend time on the beach and the resort there. Basically, it wasn't for tourists. It's where the local people went. And apparently, my grandmother and grandfather. They knew all these little places where the people that lived in Mexico, where they went on vacation and stuff like that. And there wasn't no American tourists there. And beautiful, man. There was this one villa that we stayed in, and I made the mistake of drinking the water. Oh my God! And the ice. Don't use the ice when you're in Mexico. If you go to Mexico and you're go down there for vacation or something, do not eat the ice. Do not drink the water. I can probably drink the water from now on because I'm adapted to it. And the whole time I was down there, after I drank the water, I was able to drink the water, and it didn't make me sick no more.
That's good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
here it really does. A lot of bacteria.
Mm-hmm. And so basically, you drink the water, just know. And yeah. Oh man, I was miserable. Talk about needing a toilet every so often. Jeez. Man, that is not recommended. And there's a reason why they call it Montezuma's Revenge. There's a reason.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? How you doing? We're just doing a yep, it's crazy day stream.
Yep. Hail.
Hail. And
Yeah,
I'm on my second beer. Halfway through it.
I'm sober, which is a rarity for me on these streams.
Yeah, it is really weird, man. That's weird that you're sober. Because when you've got plenty of whiskey in you, you sound like a scientist almost.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. I know I kind of let it rip, and I could get a little bit animated when I'm I'm whiskeyed.
Yeah. I'm a little animated right now myself because I've got a beer and a half in me, and I normally it's just I have a beer here, beer there. It's like normally every Sunday I go to my friends and we play darts. And so this little thing that they're doing is really interrupting my dart game because we get together every Sunday. Sometimes on Fridays, sometimes on Saturdays, you know. And because right now he works a job that where it's considered a necessary. He works in delivery. Put it that way.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and here's what I'm thinking. You remember back in just before Christmas when all of us were really sick with the colds and stuff.
Yeah,
Final was really sick. I was really sick.
I was too.
And
Yeah.
how do we know that we didn't already have it, and got rid of it?
Yeah, it did seem to linger for a really long time too.
Fuck yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I actually did have I had some diarrhea with that one too, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's one of the signs and symptoms. Huh. Which
Oh,
wait,
you're in Washington State? Yeah, so am I. I'm smack dab between Lacey and Olympia.
well, Earl, did you eavesdrop on anything you care to share?
And if you got any juicy info, there's a little Twitter button on my YouTube page on the banner to the right. You can also send it as a DM to me on Twitter. Because now it shows a little birdie to the right on the banner. That's my Twitter. Before it wasn't showing up. Now it is. Weird. Because, basically when I went and set up the banner, made my banner art, and set up all my connections with Twitter and stuff like that, it was like learning how to bake rockets. I swear to God, it was like rocket science. And you got to understand how something like that is for someone that has ADHD. Freaking aggravating, man. Because on someone that's got ADHD, they can hear the conversation if the window's open. They can hear some of the kids getting into stuff over here. And if I'm having a conversation on the phone, I can hear that too. You can pretty much hear everything that's going on at one time. And over the years, I've learned how to filter it.
Yep. Yeah, it's yeah, I've heard that from other people with ADHD. It's pretty interesting.
You in Western Washington, bro?
It says I worked nights cleaning up after the lazy programmers. Yep, cool. To our, I think that was about eavesdropping on things. Yeah. Well, people working. I heard at Google they can sometimes work long hours, but
I'm telling you this right now. I don't think Inslee is going to win the next election because I don't think he's handled this situation very well.
boy, there are a lot of people that didn't handle it well. De Blasio in New York, man, people want his head on a platter.
You're in Seattle. Man, keep your head on a swivel. Stay frosty.
Yep, like people are upset because they were basically accusing people of being racist by not going to the Chinatown parade or whatever it was, and so he told them to come out to it, and that's basically why New York has the problem they've got.
When is the Chinese New Year?
I don't know, but their parade was, I thought, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Because I didn't go to the Chinese New Year this year. I could have swore it's in February.
Hold on. Chinese New Year. It's a
Or is it
lunar-
January?
I think their calendar is different and it can change sometimes. Friday, February 12th.
Yeah,
Oh wait, that's
normal.
next year. That's next year. Never mind.
What was it this year?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Yeah, I live where we have like one of the oldest Chinatowns west of the Rockies, but it's dude, it's only like half a block long. In one of my walk and talk video, I give kind of a tour of it. I just walked around little town I live in. Here we go. Chinese New Year, Spring Festival. Come on, I just want to find out when they are. January 25th. We're in the year of the rat. Yes, so it was January 25th this year. I think I'm a snake. I believe I'm a snake. 1977. I think that was the year of the snake. At least that's what the Chinese menu slash placemat said. You're the snake. You're the snake. Yeah. Snake Zodiac. Years. Yes, 1977. Yep. Well, and part of 1978 also. So it says that I am a fire snake, whatever that means. Interesting. The building was basically empty at night. The Googlers could come in and go as they pleased, says Rural. You there, Bear? I think I lost you, Bear.
Nope.
Oh,
I
okay.
muted myself.
Oh, all right.
I talked for a second there. I'm like, I better check. Okay, I muted myself. Because normally, if I have to cough or something, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I'll do that too. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them being able to contain this. People are gonna get out.
Hey, the X22 report just dropped a video.
Oh no, my castle's under attack! That's okay. It's like anyway, yeah, it's a fan of that.
I'm not familiar with that channel.
Damn ads.
X22 Daily Show covers economy, political and geopolitical issues. Join me and many others to fight for what is rightfully ours. Yeah, okay.
Hey, this guy just quoted Stephen King, and apparently, who's a boomer?
Oh man,
I know boomer.
We're talking about Bear for muting himself.
Yeah, my mom's a boomer because she's a baby boomer. I'm an Xer.
Yep, I'm an Xer.
Actually, I was almost in the generation before the Gen X. Had I born basically a year or two earlier.
Yeah, I'm at the tail end. Some would consider me an Xennial.
But yeah, I was the graduating class of '90.
Yep, class of '95.
And let me tell you, man, the 1990s to me was sort of like the upside down radical 60s. It was just weird.
Yeah, the '90s they kind of had a resurgence of that kind of stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, the 90s basically in the 90s, the Grateful Dead basically had the largest following they had ever had in history. They used to shut cities down when they would get people coming in for a concert.
Yep. Yeah, my aunt, her husband was a deadhead.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was interesting. Got mixed up with these people with Ananda. You heard of Ananda?
Ananda. Why does that
Yeah.
sound familiar?
Um,
Describe it.
it's like Eastern. Well, I don't know a lot about it. I think they make patchouli oil. I think
Are
that's
you
what they're known
talking
for.
about the people that drive around the big giant bus that's maroon colored that's got a little bit of white over the wheels?
Let me look it up.
If you're talking about those people, my God, man, steer clear of those people. Do not go. They're a cult.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking
They're a
about.
cult, man. Steer clear
That's
of them people.
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Those people, man, what they like to do is they like to snatch up freaking hippies that are tripping their fucking balls off and then snatch them up and basically brainwash the hell out of them. And then they have other people go snatching up other hippies that are tweaking their brains out and all that stuff, man. Man, that's a fucking cult, man.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what I'm
Those
talking
people
about.
are fucking shady as fuck, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I guess they were doing like wipe swap and stuff.
You
Yeah.
see those people turn around and go the other way, man. They're bad news, man. They offer you a ride, say, nope, see you later, sucker. I'm out of here. Nuh-uh. Don't take no rides from those people. And don't eat nothing they give you either. Serious.
Why?
Drug you, kidnap
Oh.
you,
Oh yeah.
stuff, you know. Yeah, don't trust them people. They're a
Yes.
fucking cult.
Yeah, that's what my aunt was saying. That's why she left him. It's because it was a cult.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to get her into it, and it was weird. She didn't like it.
No, man. Bad people.
Yeah, that's what she was
Yep.
saying.
Yeah, that's bad mojo, for sure.
He's
man,
still
those-
into it though, as far as
And
I know.
you'll still see those buses at and now I know some people that'll hang out near them and will eat some of their food and stuff like that. But man, those people are kind of creepy, man.
It sounded like they were super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep, yeah, they do have buses.
Yeah.
Really brightly colored ones.
Well, the main one they have, it's a maroon colored bus. It's a Bluebird, and it's a 60s Bluebird, and it's got the white over the fenders of the wheels. And yeah,
Looking
let's
for
see.
a picture of one, but I'm not seeing them. I'm seeing other ones. Yep, yeah, he was into that stuff. It was pretty weird. I guess they do make. I guess for people that like patchouli oil, they supposedly make the best.
Let me see here. Yep, I found a freaking picture of it. Yeah, right here. I'll show you a picture of that. Basically, you know what I did? I did a search for the search. Let's see here. My search was, let's get that out of here. My search was Colt Maroon Hippie Bus. And the first freaking picture is that bus.
Maroon hippie gold.
Yeah, because when I first started following the Grateful Dead, you see, we had older people that would take care of us, and they always would mention certain things and certain things you didn't do and certain places you didn't go. That place, that was one of them.
Yeah, it sounds like some pretty bad
That
people
bus right
really-
there.
Whoa! Holy shit!
You see the title right there? People who went into SPAC, my friend is missing. Anyone have any leads? Fish. They go to Fish concerts too. This bus here. If you ever see this bus, get the hell away from there, man. Don't drink and don't eat anything they give you. They
Damn.
are not what you think they are. They they dress like hippies, but they are not. They're a Christian cult. And they make good Christians look bad. That much I will say.
Well, I'm not sure if that's the same folks then, because I thought Ananda was like Eastern religion,
They might have some connections.
possibly.
But this bus here, man, them people are. I love the bus. I'd buy the bus from them, and then I'd smudge the hell out of it and bless it. But you know what? Them people.
Yeah, I'll post in the private chat, but here's what he belonged to.
Let's see here.
Joy is within you.
Yeah, you got me a little tipsy, and I pretty much share my true feelings on that one there, man. Mm-hmm.
Go for it. Let
Yeah.
it rip.
Let's see here. Oh, this is a Krishna cult.
Yeah.
This is a Krishna cult.
It is still a cult, yeah.
This is Krishna. Oh man, you got to read a book called Monkey on a Stick. It's a
Oh.
true story. Basically a police officer. It was either the police officer that wrote the book or somebody that wrote the book based off of police files. You're a little thing called Sankirtan teams. Basically, all through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, you always seen Krishnas at airports.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they were running scams. They were trying to sell stuff that was like basically junk or stolen stuff or whatever. The Krishna cult, basically, they found bodies at this place, and there was a lot of people put in prison over it. And it's called Monkey on a Stick, man. Read it. It'll completely change the way you look at Krishnas and that movement. And granted, it may have not have started that way, and there probably was some good people in it, but overall, man, a lot of murder and mayhem and crime, drugs too. in that, yeah, Monkey on a Stick. Check that book out.
Yeah.
Something I read when I was in my 20s. My dad actually turned me on to it.
Yeah, cults are kind of, there's something else.
Well, you know, man, people consider the Grateful Dead a cult.
Yeah, but that's not really a cult. I mean, I'm talking about like the Jim Jones, you know.
Okay, let me tell you something about people who follow the Grateful Dead. People that dance to the Grateful Dead. A lot of people firmly and ultimately believed if the Grateful Dead stopped playing, the world would stop spinning. And there's a lot of people that took it very, very seriously. So there was, let me tell you right now, there was a little bit of a cult in the Grateful Dead, but it wasn't bad. It was not bad. It was a good thing. It was good. And a lot of people refer to it as the spin. Basically, you would create karma and dharma when you would spin. And it was a real thing. Have you ever seen the spinners from India?
Probably. I'm not be able to.
Very, very similar thing in how some of the people that dance to the Grateful Dead. It was a strong spiritual belief. A lot of them, and you know, I've been to some Grateful Dead concerts, 42 of them. I haven't been to many, but I've been to 42. I know people that've been to more.
It's Squirrel says they sound slightly better, not the Grateful Dead, but the Krishna people. Sounds slightly better than the group that called itself the Family. They would use kids as bait to lure pervs in. Yeah, a lot of cults do that, Rural.
The Family. Are you referring to the Mansons?
Yeah,
That was the
the
Manson family.
Mansons called themselves the Family. So here's the thing. Okay, so as time goes on, we learn a lot about people like Charles Manson and
Yeah.
serial killers and things like. Okay, for example, Ted Kaczynski was an MK Ultra test subject. So I don't know, man. What do you? The inner conspiracy theorist in me thinks that Jim Jones was a part of something
Well,
like that.
let's stick on the Grateful Dead tract and Manson. Basically, Ken Casey and all them ilk, they all hung out with Jerry Garcia and all them. And Manson tried to insert himself into that group. And basically, their thing was like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking freak. So basically, you got a bunch of fucking hippie freaks telling these people they're too fucking freaky for them. And these freaks, man, my kind of fucking freaks, man, you know what I'm saying? My kind of people with the Grateful Dead. But when the family, and because most people that followed the Grateful Dead were called family, not the family, family, and we referred to ourselves as family. And when someone would come up and come ask us, "Hey, where the Deadheads partying at after like?" And me and a friend of mine, we'd look at each other like, Deadhead, what's that? I don't know what that is. Because we weren't deadheads. We didn't call ourselves that. We were family. And we just happened to follow the Grateful Dead. And that was our attitude toward it. And so when we get outsiders asking us stupid questions like that, a lot of heads didn't like being called deadheads. Some do, some did. I didn't really care for that. Because it basically, I didn't really want to be pegged down, and you know, hippie. I don't know, well, maybe, but you know, I was basically doing my thing, doing my groove, and all that stuff. And I've always done things my way, and I will always continue to do things my way with that spirit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's always served me. It's always served me. I've always had that instinct. And you know what? The bottom line, if you're not fucking having fun, it ain't fucking worth doing. Get the fuck out. So, me, it's all about having fun, doing things. Even if the fucking world's coming to a fucking end, go have fucking fun. Who cares? You know? Have fun. Don't worry about all the little shit because you know what? All that shit's fucking little. That's basically the straight up fucking truth. And I had this old school hippie once tell me that. And he goes, don't sweat it, man. Because you know why? Because it's all little. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And so all these things that we stress ourselves out over and all that, give ourselves gray hair and worry over, it's not worth stressing over. Not worth holding on to.
For sure.
So as some people say, you say your piece and get out. And that's a lyric in a song. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because, you know, used to have a I don't give a fuck attitude. And that's pretty much when I was following the Grateful Dead, you know. A lot of us, we had that. It was inspirational. It was a new thing. And we thought it was a new thing, but you know what? There was people there before doing what we was doing, moving and grooving and all that stuff. And you know, you had your Star Wars deadheads, you had your Star Trek deadheads, and you had stuff that had been blended together, you know, because you know there was nerds too that followed Grateful Dead too. And every now and then you would find some Spock T-shirt mixed with Grateful Dead, you know.
I rock Spock.
Yeah. So basically, it's about having fun. Who gives a fuck what anybody else fucking thinks? You know what I'm saying? Be yourself, have fun. Don't hurt nobody, but have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've always kind of had that attitude. And man, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. A lot of people used to think I did, but when you get older, the chip on your shoulder gets a little smaller and a little smaller. And then one day, you just reach up to your shoulder and you grab that chip. It's like, okay, what are you? Okay. It's just like that old hippie said. It's all small. And there's another thing. You got water and you got a duck. You pour water on a duck's back, it rolls right off. You know what the metaphor is behind that?
Yep.
The water didn't touch you, man.
That's why it's so funny when you see like CBS or these people that are making these really, that are just ruining these shows, getting so upset at us for pointing it out.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I, any YouTuber, man, we get tons of criticism. We get criticism all the time. It's just part of the gig. And I'll tell you what, I'm not making millions of dollars at this like they are.
And I got to be honest with you, man. I'm really starting to feel like it was a mistake not raising my kids around other deadheads. Because I know a lot of other deadheads, man. They're good people. They're good family. They're raising kids too. People I grew up with and stuff like that. Because a lot of them, and here's the thing, it all got hijacked by liberalism. All of it. By that far left freaky ass shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the identity politics and the,
It got everywhere, man. It's kind of way, we're coming up on my year anniversary and we're in this shit. And but you see, I still feel like there's hope. And I got 2 beers in me.
Yep. It'll work out one way or the other. It'll be different, and some of us probably may not, may not make it. But
because honestly, I'm thinking about having a 3rd beer.
Have a 3rd beer.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I had like an entire bottle of Fireball that day that Tom hopped on the the live stream. I couldn't believe it.
Shit, why's my phone buzzing?
It's not a presidential alert, is it?
My phone is buzzing like my left cousin. No, thank God it's not. I've heard about that. I spent a lot of my teenage years pretty much inebriated. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Lots of alcohol. And you see, I lived in 2 different places. I grew up in 2 different places. My grandmother lived in Gary, and I was always at my grandmother's. And so I had friends that I grew up with from as far back as 76, and actually 75. And so it's like with mom and dad, we moved around the country a lot here and there. But the one thing that I had people that I grew up with, neighbor lady and stuff like that. And every neighborhood's got that old kind of dingbat old lady that yells at kind of everybody, but laughs at everything at the same time.
Yeah.
We had one of those. And she was our next door neighbor. And then the other next door neighbor, it was the character in Star Trek Picard.
Rafi,
the hell's
yeah.
Raffi? We had a Raffi to the left of us. That she was our neighbor and she was older, and she was cool. She didn't have to pretend and try and be something. They're trying to throw at us. She was the real deal, the real fucking McCoy, and she had a pistol in her pocket, always ready to go. And you fuck with her, guess what? You're fucking dead. She was tough. But you see, I've seen the real thing. So when I see them trying to portray her as some, basically drug person, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Hey, you know what? You know, I'm going to continue to be me. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to watch the show and I'm going to eat my popcorn too.
yeah,
I'm not a player.
absolutely.
I'm just enjoying my time watching a show. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yep.
Because we got to eat our popcorn.
Yeah, it's like George Carlin said.
And sometimes when basically the old saying. I don't know if any of you out there been in Sweat Lodge. The work begins when you start cutting the wood and the tree goes timber. And then you got to cut that with a chainsaw, and then you got to split the wood before you even make the fire for Sweat Lodge. So there's work involved, just like all things. That's basically how every lodge starts. You got to do the work. Same thing with having fun sometimes. You got to do a little bit of work when you have fun, and sometimes, yeah, exactly. Jokers to the left, clowns to the right. Here I am. Exactly. Yeah. I've actually heard that song live at Soldier Field.
The CIA heard that you're having a good time. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that's the NSA, but same difference.
It could be both, but I don't care. I'm just going to be me having fun, eating my popcorn, and watching the show like I always do. Because everything's a movie, and it's all in the movies. So just watch our movies, watch our TV shows, and eat our popcorn. Pretty much.
Yep. I have a conspiracy theory, or a theory that I've not heard anybody else say, but I kind of think it might be true, is that the hieroglyphs in the ancient pyramids are actually like QR codes that have large data sets. And that if we decoded them, you might be able to like play a video or get large documents out of them.
I've heard the same thing, actually.
Yeah, and that the symbols on them, they're so sophisticated. The symbols are just kind of pointing us in the direction of what they are, what the contents are. Yeah, it could be wrong though.
I love stuff like that. Here. Yes.
Yeah, me too. Well, obviously, it was important enough for them to make a big, giant stone monument. So whatever happened must have been pretty important.
Here's a lesson for you. I'm having a little streak of something. If you ever invent anything, don't tell anybody about it. Because if we look at the history of inventors, Jimmy Buffett was right. Hamburger in paradise, baby. Yep. Yeah, that's an interesting story. I was traveling across country, and I was fulfilling a promise that I had made to my mentor that has passed away a few years back, but he was still alive at that point, and I had made a promise, hell or high water, to be there to support him in what he was going to do. And so it took 4 days to get from Gary, Indiana to Montesano, Washington, which is about 30-minute drive from here, roundabouts. And it was a very interesting journey because it was, I had this Ford Probe. And I had the transmission in that Ford Probe rebuilt
Was it
3 times.
a stick or an automatic?
Automatic 97 Ford Probe.
Huh. I thought those were supposed to be
4-cylinder.
pretty reliable.
And the stick shifts were more reliable. But they had a history of messing up. At between 89,000 and 90,000, the transmission had basically in that particular vehicle would go out because basically it was basically a Mazda.
Yeah, the 626 I think it was based on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Same engine, same transmission, and that transmission, I had that transmission rebuilt 3 freaking times. And the third time, he did a little bit of research into it, and he got a special shift kit, and he had to drill all the hard parts in my transmission so fluid would flow. Basically, there was a design flaw because the ATF fluid didn't circulate good enough. And so what that caused is if it doesn't circulate good enough, you get friction. And hence the transmission freaking would burn up.
Damn.
And so I had it done the third time. And keep in mind, he rebuilt my transmission 3 times. And didn't charge me nothing. And the first time it cost me, he only charged me like $1,500. Well, it was partial cash and partial trade, and we won't go into what the trade was, okay? And so basically, it cost me about maybe $800 to have him rebuild my transmission. And the third time, it seemed like it took. Apparently, these particular vehicles, they don't like heat. They don't like heat at all. So I'm driving cross country, and I know I have to be at a certain place at a certain time for the opening day of this ceremony that my teacher was going to. I promised I'd support him. And when you make a promise like that, you don't break it. You got your thumb sticking out and you're walking down the road, you're going to get there because you're not going to break that promise. It's one of those kind of promises you just don't break. And so on my way there, the transmission was messing up because I was in Minnesota. And so I knew an elder, and I gave him a call. And he goes, call me back in 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. So I called him. And what's really funny is the transmission, it was kind of herky-jerky as I was driving. And eventually that stopped. It started driving normal. I pulled off the road to get something to drink, pulled back on, and the shifting was perfect. And so 10 minutes later, I called him back. And he goes, the only thing he told me was that he was praying for me, him and his family. And that was it. That's all he would say. And mind you, this is very sanitized version of the story out of respect. But yeah. And so after that smoothed out, I got into North Dakota. Billings. What's the famous town in
Fargo?
Fargo. I stopped at one of the you know how you got 4-star motels and hotels, but it's not the motel hotel. It's a 4-star, but not in the sense of the 4-star hotel. And it had a courtyard, also had a bar. And so I got a room. I stayed overnight, and it was really weird that night because it was windy as hell. It looked like it was going to rain and storm, but it stayed warm, and the wind was circling outside of the courtyard, but the wind really wasn't coming in and there was some really beautiful cherry trees that were pretty much in bloom. And because this was July. I want to say July 27th or 28th, like that. And so cherry trees were looking beautiful, and they had all kinds of different trees in the courtyard. And I gotta say, it was really surreal with the wind blowing, and seemed like it was gonna storm. And it was just one of those things where it's like that feeling of you were meant to be there and meant to be going where you're going. That kind of feeling.
Mhm.
You ever get that kind of feeling?
Oh yeah.
I get it a lot, man, and it's pretty much why I do everything that I do. I do everything by a gut feeling that I get. And if I don't get that gut feeling, or if I don't get that feeling, and then it's really hard for me to like get going, especially when it comes to doing a show on YouTube, because I want to be able to feel it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Raul, you're right. Prayer is powerful. I basically pray the native way, and the way I was taught, every footstep's a prayer. Everywhere you go is a prayer, pretty much. And and let's just say I know a lot more about the prayer that elder did for me, but out of respect, I can't really go into the details of it. But the prayer was good. It was good. It was good. And it took me exactly 4 days. And going the northern way, it's from between Gary and basically Olympia, Washington. It's 2,250 miles. And going the long way, which is the southern route,
Mm-hmm.
takes me 3 days.
Yeah, because of the weather, right?
There was snowstorms involved in that one. I had all kinds of obstacles in front of me, and I still made it there in 3 days. And this one, beautiful weather. It was July and stuff, and I was basically because the journey was literally a prayer. Each day was a prayer because I was going to a ceremony that was a prayer, and so I had help.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's outages all around the world, Steven. You should come on real quick.
Yeah, it's been happening a lot. I think some of us are being shadow banned too.
I don't think I'm being shadow banned.
Well, I mean, my view count's down. Steven's view count's down. Doomcock's view counts are way down.
Yeah, and you gotta remember, you gotta stay away from certain keywords because certain keywords will get you shadow banned. And so basically, that Mexican beer from Mexico, don't say that word. Um, the V word, don't say that, because as soon as you say that, it'll get suppressed. So basically, and I've seen Marfugel News talking about stuff that's going on, and I've seen a bunch of other YouTube channels that are kind of a little bit conspiracy theory channels, a little bit. I've seen that they don't say certain things and they keep it a certain way. And so basically, eat our popcorn, watch the show, and have fun while we do it. That's the motto. And if you don't do it from that approach, you're going to get shadow banned because they're going to think that you're putting information out there that's for real. And basically, we just want to watch our movies, watch our TV shows, eat popcorn, and watch the show.
Yeah, exactly. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, have fun with it. I can have fun with it. I mean, who doesn't like to have Mexican beer every once in a while?
Yeah, because basically, my cerveza that I'm having right now is a Pyramid Outburst Imperial IPA. And a little history behind the IPA. It's basically an India Pale Ale, and it was designed to basically sit in a barrel on a ship and last between England and India. And that's where the IPA comes from. It was a hearty beer that would last in a wooden barrel.
Oh yeah.
And when you were on those ships, the only thing they were drinking was the beer. They didn't drink water on ships.
Well, yeah, they got the nutrients from the beer too. Beer has
Mhm.
nutrients. You know, it's
Yep.
funny. Yeah, the British, man, they drink warm beer, don't they?
Yes. Hey, I kind of like warm beer myself, but I would like to think that's the Scottish in me. You know.
Depends on how warm, but I prefer a
Hey.
cold beer myself. But
You ever watch them movies that got the thick Scottish accents? And one time I was watching it, and I had a buddy of mine that was watching it with me, and he's like, "Do you understand what they're saying?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can't." And he's like, "No." I'm like, yeah, it must be in my DNA then, because I have no problem understanding what the Scots are saying when they're talking a thick brogue, you know.
yeah,
And I think it has to do with me growing up, and because you see, my grandfather spoke broken English. Basically a farmer from Mexico. Aztec Indian, was a little bit of Spanish, and so he was a farmer and pretty backward kind of guy. Work the earth, the land. When he was 10 years old, working the earth. Planting stuff.
yeah, rural. I like Jameson too. You know, Jameson actually has this thing called cask mates, where you get, where you get like a hint of an ale, the aromatics of it. Although the last batch I got was really bad. It tasted like fucking Jägermeister. I don't buy whiskey to have something that tastes like Jägermeister.
What we got here? I'll put this in the council chat. So yeah, this is the yep, it's crazy days out there. I don't give a fuck. I'm having a beer. So hey. How about you? Story time too, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I drank a lot of Irish whiskey when I was a teenager. So it doesn't really matter the quality of the Irish whiskey. It's still to me Irish whiskey, and I drank way too much of it when I was a teenager. To me, good Scotch, single malt, 12, 18-year-old Scotch. Cognac. I like cognac.
Scotch is good. I like Scotch.
My dad was a fan. If you're gonna have Scotch socially, in good taste, I would say Chivas Regal, 12-year-old blend, is decent. But I prefer a single malt. I like there's Glen Morgie, there's Glen Craig, Glenlivet. Glenlivet, I like Glenlivet. I like the 18-year-old. I got a fifth of that once. Ordered
Yeah,
it online,
Glenlivet's good. I like Glenlivet.
and that was imported from Scotland. And I used to get one every Christmas. I get one before. I see that. You're lurking. Apparently, we had some people that were lurking, and I was asking them to put some stuff in the chat. There was 4 of them earlier, and apparently they weren't a part of our social circle. Otherwise, they probably would have.
Yeah, I think that scared him. I don't think they're accustomed to being talked to.
Yeah.
Like, what? There's attention on me. I need to get out of here.
It's funny that you should earlier. There was a story about what the hell, Manson, Charlie Manson.
Mm-hmm.
He had once jumped out of a bus screaming. He was naked, and I think Jerry Garcia was there when it happened. I think it was one of the interviews that Jerry was doing, and he had mentioned it. And I think the words "get the fuck out of here" chimed in.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good cognac. Um, it's almost an aphrodisiac to the point to where I like to. There's this little 3-shot bottle of Hennessy cognac that I like to get, and it'll normally take me about 4 or 5 days to sip off of it because it's literally you take a sip and you literally let it evaporate in your mouth, and you inhale a little, and you will get the tastes of caramels, the smoky flavor from the barrel when they smoked the barrel on the inside.
Mhm.
You will get all kinds of flavors. And I had a really good friend of mine. It's been over a year now. My friend Rodrigo. When I first came to Washington State, on the west side of Olympia, he ran a bar called the Tequila Bar, and it was it was my haven. It was my little refuge. And basically, he was one of my first friends in Olympia. And basically, at the end of the night when he would close up, he would give me pretty much, if I took advantage of it, he would give me as much as I wanted to drink. And I didn't push that because I've never been one to do that. I don't believe in overstaying my welcome in that kind of thing. And so basically I'd have 2 or 3 beers, and then when he would close, I'd help him close because he gave me some free drinks, and and basically we had a little deal. I put all his stools up and mop his floor for him. That's worth 3 beers, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And a lot of times he gave me food too, and so the guy was fucking awesome, man, and definitely a brother. And he's on the other side now, and he's good people. He's real good people. He brought a lot of people together that probably wouldn't have otherwise blended. And basically, it was a whole community that started that I was a part of in West Olympia. It was pretty fucking awesome, I gotta say. And when I was always a little bit of a social butterfly, and so I could fly my way into the little social settings, and I could pretty much blend in. And a lot of good people, a lot of them hippies to a degree, but a lot of them college students, a lot of them doing this and doing that. Some musicians. I always seem to find musicians seem to be a part of that kind of thing. But yeah, music was a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, musicians have an interesting way of looking at the world. Musicians.
Well, I can honestly say that when it comes to music, the real music that's not controlled by deep, dark, and ugly, and sinister, and all that shit, the real stuff, the stuff that comes from the heart, the music of bardic tradition that can't be controlled, because that's basically what the Grateful Dead was. They were able to, people can basically give people that follow the Grateful Dead or the Grateful Dead shit for being what they were. But one thing that they did do, they lifted up masses of people that were sad, that were not happy. And a lot of people that were lost became found because of them.
I like that
And
song "Truckin'."
yes, and that's probably a very poor example. There's probably a lot better songs um, out there. Deep Elm Blues, and that song right there was an old folk song itself that goes way back. And so basically, or Supplication Blues for that matter, So what are you doing, Steven, besides lurking? You got plenty of toilet paper?
Lurking. Oh, that reminds me of a line from Star Trek Discovery. We've got a lurker. I detest lurkers. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't quote Star Trek Discovery. Okay, so Rural says
Raul, that sounds like you got a hold of some cognac.
it might have been Johnny Walker. Man, Johnny Walker. Man, you gotta have just like a dude like an iron stomach and no sense of smell or taste to be able to drink Johnny Walker.
Which one?
The Black Label.
Hey, what's up, Sentinel? How you doing? I'm on my third beer. Yeah. And it's 3:33 in the morning. Make a wish. You know, there's a saying, before you make a fire, you got to cut a tree down. It goes timber. And then you make a fire. Because that tree goes down, you know what I'm saying?
Timber.
Yeah. That freaking song is stuck in my head, I'm telling you.
Yeah, especially the part with the one girl that gets really emotional.
Oh my God, man. That made me cry, man. The first time I watched it, I cried, man. It's the Kennedy grandchildren we're talking about, if you're wondering.
Yeah. Sentinel, I am stone cold sober at the moment, believe it or not, which is
He
a rarity
is.
for me on these late night streams.
I'm pretty much the one that's not sober.
Yeah, some of my whiskey logs could get pretty intense.
Let's see, I get rid of some tabs here, so all right, don't get rid of that one.
Yeah, I'm just riding out the situation in style, trying to earn a few bucks since business is not an option at this point. At least
There's
not
a
for the next
certain
month.
Shadowboxing the Apocalypse. That's a Grateful Dead lyric. It's coming to mind. That was
Oh, hey, I was trying
same
not
album.
to. I was trying not to say the word apocalypse. I thought we weren't supposed to say that word.
Oh, that's open territory because you
Okay.
know it's part of the lyrics of the Touch of Grey album that Grateful Dead put out in the 80s.
I
Yeah.
remember that one.
Oh, and by the way, you know, my first Grateful Dead concert was the 25-year anniversary of the Grateful Dead. It was momentous. Put it that way. It was hugely momentous.
Yeah, those guys were definitely, for sure. Yeah, the family you're talking about. They definitely had a big following.
So yeah, basically, those of you Hobbit fans out there in Hobbiton, if you got the Hobbiton leaf, load your pipes and smoke that Hobbiton leaf. Now, it depends on the kind that you got because there's Hobbiton brown leaf and there's Hobbiton green leaf. There's two different things. So whichever. Enjoy your
God,
Hobbiton leaf.
I'm a total Hobbiton leaf lightweight. I don't seem to be a very good Hobbiton leaf smoker. Oh, Casey Jones, yeah, it's a good one too.
Yeah, when it comes to Grateful Dead songs, I gotta say, it's a very bubblegummy song the Grateful Dead played. It was a toe stepper, it was a stomper, but basically, you got to understand something about the Grateful Dead. It was about subliminal messages from them to the fans. And another thing most people don't realize is basically a lot of the music was considered pop rock prophecy music, predicted things. It's really weird, but fascinating at the same time.
Yeah, I haven't heard
because
that.
basically it's almost like a spiritual belief when you talk about the Grateful Dead, because there's so many different things that were phenomenon surrounding them, especially like the weather.
Yep.
You know what? I think we might show that song.
Okay. The Kennedy song?
The grandchildren singing.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? I think we should.
Yeah.
And we'll just be quiet, and then we'll ask the chat here what they think at the end of
Yeah.
it.
Although be fully advised, chat. They might kill the stream, but I've got 2.5 beers in me, and my rebellious spirit says, "Fuck it, do it."
Your pacing is admirable. I would have been on my 6th beer by now.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance.
Let's make it night. I won't remember. I'll be the one. You won't forget. Ooh.
Ooh, ooh. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. This biggity boy's a diggity dog. I have 'em like Miley Cyrus, clothes off, twerking in their bras and thongs. Timber.
Face down, booty up. That's the way we like to walk.
Timber, taking an oil spill. Says she will, but I bet she will. Timber, swing your partner around and round.
She looks like Jackie.
Going down. One more shot, another
In the eyes, yeah.
It's going down. Swing your partner round and round.
End of the night, it's going down.
2.3K likes.
Round. End of the night, it's going down. One more shot, another round. End of the night, it's going down. I'm yelling timber.
My hair's sticking up.
You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night. You won't remember. I'll be the one. You won't forget. I'm down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. I think at night. You won't remember. I'll be the one. You won't forget. You won't forget. Whoa. Whoa.
Remember, folks, eat your popcorn. Enjoy the show.
Look up the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Not just me and just do not change.
Living in hotels,
So
sitting on planes.
planes.
Blessed
Blessed to
to
say,
say,
yeah,
money
money
ain't
in
a
a thing.
Jumping
Jump
like
that
a
round now.
Well,
Holy.
part of me another
Right
round.
homie.
About to clown. Why? 'Cause it's about to go down. Swing your partner round and round. End of the night, it's going down. One more shot, another round.
They look happy, don't they? And mad and angry at the same time.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make the night. You won't remember.
Pay attention to her
I'll be
eyes.
the one. You won't forget. Going down. I'm yelling timber.
She's barely
You
holding
better
it together.
move. You better dance.
Let's make a night. You won't remember. I'll be the one. You won't forget.
Oh, ooh, ooh.
Oh, oh, oh.
Love you guys.
Hail.
All right. So what do we think there, chat?
That should give you hope. If anything gives you hope, let that give you hope. And that's all I'm going to say about that. First time I seen that, I cried. Because I understand what it means. Because it's kind of funny in a time when basically you follow the Grateful Dead and you learn how to speak in code. Because the Grateful Dead, they always sung stuff in code. And once again, I'm going to tell you, just watch it like a show and eat your popcorn and enjoy the show.
Yep. It's interesting. A lot of the analysis on their singing, you'll see it in the search, then it'll go to the tweet, and the tweet will be gone. Which is fascinating.
Because it's being suppressed.
So there's an article here. Goddamn New York Times. I don't want to pay your shitty paper anything. Oh, here you go. I'll read the chat in some of the on the video. Or the comments.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Wait.
That's
Oh,
not the
wow.
ISR. Although for intents and purposes, we can pretend. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So Curtis, where you at? What's
This
going
is-
on in your area?
Nope on the hope.
Yeah, it's really funny that you can't really talk about what you want to talk about, pretty much, and look where we are. We can't talk about freely about what we really want to talk about that pink elephant in the room that nobody wants you to talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm reading through the comments on the video, and there's a lot of interesting insights into it.
Well, big time. Let's see here. That song goes through my head. All right. Hey, Curtis, you're on Twitter, right? No. Much larger and much bigger than that. It's the largest ultimate pink elephant in the room. It's the one we don't want to poke.
Yeah, we're all slightly freaked out too, Curtis, but
Yep.
you know.
But you know what? I still feel hope. And you know what? My gut instincts about things have been between 80 and 85% right.
You must have
So-
faith that the universe will unfold as it should, Mr.
Hey
Spock.
man, I was driving down the road and it said, "Ancestors of Geronimo, be ready." And I walk the red road. I believe in that way, and those are the kind of things that you see, like, that's just like, it's significant, It is. And I was like, wow, that was pretty interesting. And I was on my way back, coming back from it was kind of interesting because I just came from Walmart and everybody there, just the fear was so thick in the store that you could cut a donut of it out of the air, and don't dare eat that, just but it was thick.
Yeah.
It was almost you could almost smell it.
Yeah, you know what? I noticed when I'm out, doing my deliveries and I have my surgical gloves on, uh, that people the seeing the surgical gloves seem to be a reminder and make them a little unnerved slightly. Curtis says, "I just watched 12 Monkeys. It's the end. My
Hey,
name's
if you watched
Jones. I'm in insurance."
Hey, take your time, Scotty. We'll be here for a little bit. Hop on when you can.
Yep. But yeah, Contagion. Boy, the Contagion is exactly what's happening right now. The movie Contagion. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can go from one moment to the next, and you can almost forget where the light's at, but then again you see the light, and then it's like, okay, there's where the light's at. And sometimes you can lose perspective, and I'm sure there's a couple different Grateful Dead songs that talk about the light. There's a few different ones, and basically, and a lot of them, they're all about hope. Some of them talk about death because the Grateful Dead, and basically, the story of the Grateful Dead, what it is to be grateful to be dead, and there is actual story behind it. All right, I'll tell the story. Back a long time ago, there was a farmer. He was taking his wares that he had grew in the field to go sell. And when he was on his way back, he was robbed and killed for the coppers that he had. And so basically his body sat there, rot, and lay there, and his soul never rested. And there was a warrior that was walking by, and this warrior heard something calling to him. And so he went over there, and he seen the spirit talking to him and asking him to help him and help his family. And so what this warrior did, he was probably a knight more than likely. He went and he found those guys that killed him for the coppers that he had, because he had sold his crops. And so this warrior went and found these guys. He relieved them of their heads from their shoulders, and took the coppers they had taken from them. And he went back, and of course he buried the guy that he found laying there. And of course the departed spirit told him where his family could be found. And this knight went and found the family and gave the coppers to them, which would probably buy their whole season's worth of grain to replant. So that's the story of what it is to be grateful to be dead.
Nice.
And that's one of the stories. And so basically those who have ancestors who have toiled and sacrificed to get you to where you are. And so being grateful for your ancestors is a serious thing. And that was the story of, basically, it wasn't how the name was chosen, but there was a story that was put out there that was by it. It's a folklore one. I'm not sure where the original story came from. I can't really remember, but that's the story that I remember that was told. And it's a parable, it's a lesson, and it teaches people a basic goodness, that help your fellow man out, be right, do right, and do good if you can. Good story.
Yeah.
You've caught me in rare form, I gotta say. So, any stories that you have ever heard before?
Stories, like what kind of stories?
Any? Pretty much the stories that my personal experience that I've had that are pretty amazing to me at the time when they were happening, and will probably eventually make a pretty good book. Yeah, ancestry is important because my Aztec ancestors, they suffered a lot to get me to where I was. They picked it out of the dictionary, Scotty. Grateful Dead, and apparently there is a folklore, a very old story that goes along with it.
They had some really lame name before that, didn't they?
No, it wasn't lame. It wasn't lame. It was appropriate. You got to understand, man. Warlock, sorcerer, those weren't bad words. Christianity put those stigmatisms on those things. Now, what was bad, whether you were black, whether you were white, it's the difference. It's a difference, you know. And basically, my ancestors, they had to learn the hard way to stay in the light. Yes, the warlocks. That's correct. And there's a certain state they play in where when they were the Grateful Dead, they had to play as the warlocks because they were pretty much banned. What is that? Meriwether Post is, what state is that in? Maryland. I think it's Maryland. Yeah, they had to play as the warlocks in Maryland because they were banned. They were not allowed. So they did play as the warlocks. And it was in '66 that they changed the name.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that a band could even be banned, I guess.
Yeah, and basically, I've been to. I think I've probably been to just as many Bob Weir bands. He's got a band called Rat Dog, and I've seen a lot of Rat Dog shows, along with Grateful Dead, of course. And I've even seen ZZ Top. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing ZZ Top again, man, because that was fun. And them freaking bastards wouldn't let us dance. There was a bunch of guys, bunch of us that were seeing at this ZZ Top show. Everybody wanted to get down boogie, man, and they wouldn't let no one. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? You freaking mind police. You wouldn't let people dance and have fun. It's like, what the hell, man? You know, sometimes people just want to get down and boogie. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know? Sometimes they just want to say, hey, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to, but I'm not going to hurt nobody. I'm having fun. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know, if I ever had to go on the radio, I'd have to learn how to not cuss.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I really like to think I cuss more appropriately than the Admiral in Star Trek Picard. Actually, cussing in general in Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, Scotty, if you want to hook up on the good soundboards, I got them. I got some really awesome soundboards. Because basically, you know, when I used to have a whole bunch of tapes, but I discovered lossless audio files. Basically, it's an audio file that does not lose any quality, and it's like the original. And etree.org. Download them over torrents. And because the Grateful Dead, since its conception, at one point they used to allow the recorders to tie into the main board. And if you ever know anyone that loves the Grateful Dead, Betty Board is like the all-time thing that you really want to have. I can probably find that Warlock show from Connecticut. Because that was, I want to say that was in 90. Probably 90 and 91.
Wait, they were banned in the 90s?
There was one state where they had to play as the Warlocks, and I think Connecticut was one of them. Because the crowds, man. In the 90s, when Grateful Dead came into town, 90,000 to 60,000 people came with. A lot of people. Stadiums, coliseums that would hold probably like, 20,000 people, 15,000 people. And 3 times that many would show up. I mean, it was a party. It was a complete and total utter party. And keep in mind, from the time I was 21 and probably till I was 27, I didn't drink. I quit drinking for a long time. It was probably a good thing I did, because when I was a teenager up until I was 21, let me tell you, I was a frickin' fish. I drank a lot of alcohol. Now, every once in a while, like now, I'm on my 3rd beer. That'll be probably quite a while until I have more, because normally I pay the price for more than 3 beers.
Yep, I used to drink quite a bit too in my early 20s.
Connecticut, that's not very far from North Kingstown, Rhode Island, is it?
Where?
Connecticut.
I don't know.
Yeah, I used to live in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. It was right across from Newport. What's up, brother?
What up? What up?
Um,
I only have a minute or two. I just wanted to jump in. So to clarify, the New Haven show was like they could play as the Dead. In Connecticut, they stopped playing in the Dead because they got too big.
Right.
So it wasn't that they had to, they just did it as a secret show to go to New Haven.
Right.
So they played at a place called Toad's Place that anybody and everyone has played there. So it was pretty dope.
Yeah, I got the chance to see Electric Hot Tuna. I want to say it was at it's in Chicago in 91. Fucking cold too, man. Really cold.
Yeah, and Giant Stadium, man, held a lot of people, like 55,000 at the time when they played, at least. And then there was, like you said, double outside, man. It was some fun shows that we used to go to. But to play smaller venues, they would play as the Warlocks. And I was going to stay on for much longer, but my little one just came down and yelled at me because I'm not playing Barbies with her. Yay, me.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't get a chance to see them as the Warlocks. But there's a state, I think it's Maryland, that they couldn't play as the Grateful Dead because they were banned. I think it's Maryland. If it's not Maryland, it's one of those eastern states.
Yeah, it was an
it's
eastern
definitely
state.
New England.
Is it New England? I don't remember that
Yeah,
one.
New England. Yeah, I used to live in North Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Right, you told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
my
was-
little one's right here. I'm so sorry, guys. I got to bounce.
That's all right, man.
I apologize.
It's good to
Thanks for
talk to
hanging.
you.
Yeah. I'll talk to you soon, Bear. Wes, always
All
good
right, man.
seeing both you guys. Later.
Yeah, have a good one,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah, little
See ya.
one.
Yeah, do you have enough TP? My mom was actually able to find a 4-pack of toilet paper the other day, and that was it. Yeah.
Man, I've got an 18-month supply just from my normal Costco runs. I actually gifted some to some people that needed it.
So yeah, I'm gonna drop this Bob Dylan song. And just so y'all know, do a search on Q from Star Trek minus Star Trek, and you'll find Bob Dylan song mentioned. Yes, I know it's vague.
So this was posted yesterday. No, 2 days ago.
So yeah, so the new song by Bob Dylan came out on the 26th. It was released, and the Rolling Stone did an article by it. And the way I understand it, this song, I guess he wrote this song a long time ago.
It's got a picture of JFK. And
Yeah.
it came out the day that the okay.
Yeah, some significance. Rolling Stone article. All across the country this very moment, people are lost, scared, and grieving, and the virus crisis and has transformed American life with shocking speed. And Bob Dylan wants you to know that he feels your pain. How else to explain the midnight release of Murder Most Foul? A somber 17-minute, keep in mind, 17. Now we know it's 17. 17, remember? 17 minutes. Ballad that eerily fitting for our current moment. It starts as a history song recounting a poetic detail. The dark day in Dallas, November 63, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. This was a pivotal time in Dylan's career. For a moment, it seemed like he might, going back to a topical songwriter he was still best known for then, telling a story about a violent injustice like the lonesome death of Haiti Carroll, or about the soul of a nation with God our side. Folk historians will note the description of Kennedy as a sacrificial lamb, paralleling the extended metaphor from his eerily pure Phil Orks 1966 masterpiece, Crucifixion. But he rushes forward in time from there into Beatlemania, Woodstock, and beyond. There are morbid jokes. You got me dizzy, Miss Lizzie, you got filled me with lead. And ominous pronouncements about the end of the world, and Dylan sings in a voice that out of time, like the sardonic ghost sifting through the wreckage of the 20th century on Desolation Row. He comes back to the gruesome facts that the day in Dallas a few times, mostly though he makes song requests, asking the great DJ Wolfman Jack or whoever's listening to play him something by the Eagles, Billy Joel, Fleetwood Mac, Queen, Nina Simone, Thelonians, Monks, Beethoven, folk songs, blues songs, gospel songs, rock songs, all that junk and all that jazz. The requests keep coming, a lifelong love of popular music expressed at a last-ditch plea. You might expect Murder Most Foul to lose focus as it shifts from its initial subject to the lost list of titles and names, but it doesn't. It gets more powerful. That's because this isn't a song about the Kennedy assassination in the way that Tempest was about the sinking of the Titanic, or Roll On John was about John Lennon. Two songs from Dylan's 2012 album, Tempest, that share certain similarities with this one, but that don't go anywhere nearly as deep. Murder Most Foul is really about the ways that music can comfort us in times of national trauma. When everything in the world seems wrong, a favorite song can be the only thing that makes sense. The person singing this song just wants to hear something that speaks to the hurt and confusion in his heart. For those of us who often turn to Dylan's catalog for that very purpose, Murder Most Foul has arrived at the right time. So,
And
There
it's
we
dropped
go.
on the same day as the other thing. Fascinating.
very fascinating.
So now I'm starting to kind of see where you're going with it.
So, welcome to the other side. Inhale to all.
Absolutely.
So, we want well-written TV shows. We want good, wholesome things. And we want to eat our popcorn watching our TV show and watching our movie. Same time.
Absolutely. Yep. Just grab some popcorn and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, Curtis says nobody's buying diapers, so I just went for it,
Yeah. Whoever wrote that article for Rolling Stone, I think they had a musical quality about themselves.
Yeah.
Because I was moving, bebopping along with the words and rhyming and miming and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did seem to have kind of that quality about it. I
Yeah.
agree.
Because I used to write stuff. I used to write songs. I've even sung before. I made I'd have to get in contact with my friend Autumn to get a copy of it, but I've actually I got 2 CDs technically. The guy that recorded it, I never got a copy of the second recording. But yeah. Basically the composition, the songs that were written was called Great Flying Twilight. If you ever hear anyone singing something Great Flying Twilight, I wrote it.
Yeah, it'd be cool to hear that.
Because honestly, I don't know if I have a copy of it. And what's even more tragic, the original writings lost, gone. So I don't have the original writings that I had wrote, those songs that I sung. Because basically, I was shown something, and I was given a choice, and I chose the other road, and I chose not to go the other way with. Basically, if I would have became a rock star, I never would have had a family, and they would never have my kids. And that's the choice I was given. I chose family.
Yeah, family's important.
Yep.
Definitely fit into the more wholesome category.
Besides, there's a huge saying out there: without love in a dream, it'll never come true. And you're like, why does that sound familiar? It's part of the subject matter. And you're thinking, we've covered a lot of subject matter. It's a lyric from a Grateful Dead song. Parables of hope, you could say. Things that give one hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Bear, I'm starting to doze off here, so I think probably I'm ready to call it a night here. I don't know if you want to keep going or not.
Oh, I probably should end it here.
Yeah. end it on
Give
the-
us a minute to chit chat before you take off.
Okay. Yeah,
Compare
it was-
notes. Compare notes, have you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a beautiful thought to end it on,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. I'll say cheers and have my last drink of beer to you all, and we'll end this here as soon as I drink my last drink of beer. And cheers to you. Salutations. Good health to you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys joining us so late or
Thank you.
early or whatever it is.
Early, late, everything at once, up, down, left, right. We thank you. Have a great one. Good night.